This weekend, Virginia International Raceway and the Sports Car Club of America combined to form a mecca for lovers of sports car racing. Almost 500 drivers in over 20 classes will do battle in a race for the gold. Since 1964, SCCA has been crowning national champions at its annual runoffs, the peak of the Summit Racing Equipment SCCA road racing program. For the second straight year, welcome to the track that Paul Newman once called Heaven on Earth, for the historic 60th annual SCCA Runoffs. It is an absolutely beautiful afternoon that greets all the competitors and all the members of the Sports Car Club of America for the final afternoon of racing at the 60th annual running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs here at Virginia International Raceway. From the beautiful villas overlooking the climbing S's to the fans stacked on the hillsides, they know something special will be happening this afternoon with the final four races coming up, and the next one is going to be the Run for the Gold in Super Touring Under. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Tom O'Gorman, and Hayward Wagner is down in pit lane. And Hayward, you know, you think about variety and diversity. How about in this field of 13, 12 different types of cars?
Yeah, Greg, we were just walking up and down the grid line looking at the diversity. It's just kind of ridiculous, if I'm honest. This was a class that was intended for people who had purchased former pro racing cars to be able to come and go club racing, the Super Touring class. And this car right here, Chip Herr's Audi, is a classic example of this. This is a car that ran in the Speed World Challenge Touring Car Series, still boasting that livery there on the car, a classic Audi look, carbon hood. This is an all-wheel drive car, second on the grid. Third on the grid, this is going to be a familiar car for the folks that have been tuned in all week. This, of course, is Joe Moser in the King Motorsports CRX. This is a B20 powered car. I mentioned this class started as a place for old pro racing cars to end up. Of course, SCCA members take a look at those rules and figure out, I bet I could build a car that would do pretty well in that class. I wanted to point out this is our pole sitter. This is Johan Schwartz and Kip Van Steenberg's 944. One of the most beautiful cars on the grid. But going back to this is club racing, this is amateur racing. His window decal right here, this is 3 layers of good old-fashioned racer's tape with some vinyl laid on top of it. And by the way, if these guys look tired, it's because they towed 9 hours each way since Thursday to take the car to Florida to have a new transaxle put in it. They're here on pole.
They are on pole, and that happened early too, Tom O'Gorman, because Johan had to leave for an event he had a conflict with and had to leave here, didn't get back until late last night. So it's been one heck of a journey for that team. And now let's take a look at the journey that everybody on this grid is going to have to deal with for the next 15 laps. That is the amazingly beautiful and very challenging Virginia International Raceway. Time for a Mazda track map. This place is special.
It is, and it's the variety on the grid that's going to make it even more interesting as cars have different strengths and weaknesses. But down into turn 1, a great passing opportunity, of course. Into turns 2 and 3. 3 is that sweeping NASCAR bend into the lower S's at turn 4. This is where you need the car to be light on its feet, nimble, mechanical grip is king. Then high-speed stability and a little bit of top end come into play at the beginning of Sector 2 through the uphill S's, through South Bend. We need aero there, but then you also need a good power down. That all-wheel drive Audi will certainly be good for the exit of Oak Tree. Then a long back straightaway into the roller coaster at 13, 14, and 15, and also a long pull to the start-finish line out of Hog Pen, leaving turns 16 and 17.
And that turn 10 is South Bend, and man, it is a diabolical corner. It is brilliant, and we're looking forward to this one. There's no question. This is a neat one for me because we are talking about old pro race cars that are here. Well, I'm an old pro announcer, and I've announced a number of these drivers in some of those races. Johan Schwartz, of course, was running in World Challenge when you were, and Chip Herr, back in the glory days of World Challenge in the touring car class in its heyday, was an absolute monster in that very Audi. So this one's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to get to the starting lineup so we can really set the field just a little bit. Starting in the 13th spot in his 21st runoff start, the 17 of Whitfield Gregg, all the way from Bellevue, Washington, but running out of New York region, in the flat-out racing Mazda Miata. Starting in the 12th spot, his second runoff start, the 69 of Michael Reese out of Brooklyn, New York, also New York region, in his Honda S2000. Starting in the 11th spot, his third runoff start, the 75 of James Slechta from Moab, Utah, running out of the Colorado region, in the Alien Force Racing, I love that name, Niso and Carbotech Nissan 300ZX. Starting in the 10th spot, his fourth runoff start, the number 190 of David Fiorelli out of Coppell, Texas, out of Texas region in his Ford Mustang. Starting in the 9th spot, his 25th start at the runoffs, the 92 of John Schmidt out of Sunbury, Ohio, runs the Ohio Valley region, the Hoosier Redline Oil and Doc Smith Honda Accord. Starting in the 8th spot, the 11th runoff start for the 165 of Jorge Nazario out of San Juan, Puerto Rico in the Taxmania Mazda MX-5. Starting in the 7th spot, his 10th runoff start for the 72 of Anthony Girazzi. He was third and made the medal last year here out of Glen Head, New York region, the Krug Speed Lotus Exige. Starting in the 6th spot outside row 3, a fourth start for the 199 of Jose Osiris Pena, and he already had a race here earlier this weekend out of Miami, Florida on the Toyota GT86. Then we move to the 5th starting spot, 9th runoff start for the number 70 of Darren Treacle out of Marshall, Virginia, Washington, D.C. region. This is a home race for him in the Treacle Insurance Agency, BMW. Then starting outside of row number 2, 4th spot, 5th runoff start for the 19 of Mark Liller, who was in that championship run last year out of Bowie, Maryland, Washington, D.C. region, in the Angry Sheep Motorsports Hoosier Carbotech Dodge Neon SRT-4. Starting in the 3rd spot, in his 14th runoff appearance, and the defending champion, the 36, Joe Moser, qualified second last year out of Dallas, Texas, Detroit region, the Honda CRX SI, and then your front row on the outside, that beautiful Audi of Chip Herr, who was making his third runoff start, finished second last year, the number 18 out of Lititz, Pennsylvania, the Susquehanna region, the Warwick Auto Park Carwotech Hoosier Audi A4, and on pole, as we've talked to you, after an amazing journey just to get here and grabbing that Tire Rack Pole Award, it is the number 4 of Johan Schwartz, only his second runoffs appearance out of Huntersville, North Carolina, in the North Carolina region, but he did put it on pole last year, so this is his second straight Tire Rack Pole Award, Tomo, in that Van Stieber Performance Porsche 944. And that car, not only does that model of Porsche just look cool, but that VPS instead of JPS, but everything about it as identical. Talk about one of those evocative graphics packages.
Yeah, that's just an obscenely beautiful car. I love seeing that car on a racetrack, but we've talked about the variety a bit. There is no other class that has all 3 drive lines represented in the first 3 rows. The only class I can think of that might have anything close to this level of variety is GT2, and those are all kind of packaged together into one class. These cars all prepped to the same rule set, all production chassis. That Van Steenberg car, formerly an E-production car, switched over, which is no engine changes, no aero. Now it's engine changes and aero. So a very different thought process here in the Super Touring category.
Absolutely, and then that beautiful yellow, the number 72, the Lotus Exige. In and amongst all these front wheel or front engine cars, you have a mid-engine little pocket rocket out there that Anthony wheels incredibly well. So here we go, 15 laps in the run for the gold in STU, Super Touring Under, and Johan Schwartz leads them up into the acceleration zone, and that is when, at some point in that acceleration zone, we will set this run for the national championship underway, and this one should be a beauty. There's your starter. Looking for it. We're green. 15 laps for Super Touring. A monster start from Mike Liller in that Dodge Neon for Mark here, trying to round everybody up. He had a great head of steam.
Yeah, that boost buggy out around the outside. He did the same thing last year in the wet and led that race up until about 30 seconds before the checkered was thrown early. But Herr, with a big all-wheel drive rotation, gets up underneath the inside of Joe Moser. That becomes the outside, and they're side-by-side for the lead. Herr maybe to the lead, but loses the back.
Too quick. He's trying to save it. He's might be able to get that one going again, but for Chip, man, he was giving it everything. He's going to try and hustle it back on track, but now that leaves Johan Schwartz, Moser, and Liller, your top 3. Looks like Darren Treacle in that blue BMW right up there. and looks like Chip may have got away with it. He popped a mirror out, but watch it here, Tomo.
Man, he must have had that car set up so loose for the long run and just couldn't keep the back end underneath it. Of course, all-wheel drive cars, and Audi specifically, known for how front-heavy they are. They can become pushy, and a pro driver like Herr knows he's got to set it up for that long run to make it turn. It was just too much of a handful.
So he's going to try and gather it up and try and get back under it and see what he can make out of this one. But right now, as you would expect, Joe Moser immediately attacking on Johan.
Then look how much work he was doing on the wheel coming into Oak Tree there for the first time, losing maybe a little bit of residual fuel out the back of that bumper.
Too, yeah.
And Liller keeping the pressure on these top two as well. Look at the power out of the SRT-4. It just chugs almost up alongside by the end of this straightaway.
Yeah, when it gets up into the turbo there, and look at this, big lunge, diving down to the inside of Moser here, and that's going to quickly become the outside, and at that point, smart move there, as Liller just decides, all right, I'm going to back off to live another day here, but how about it, 144 miles an hour for Liller on the opening lap.
Just flying. He will deal with a little bit of temperature issues over the race. We'd expect that to kind of creep down slowly at that top speed, but throughout qualifying, we kind of saw it takes the 944 a couple of laps to get really going, but Moser is in a similar situation. He wasn't super thrilled with the handling on that car through the weekend. He doesn't have the straight line speed either. Liller blows by him again right at the very end, and now it's a duel on the brakes.
And Moser, that lightweight CRX, is going to get that one done usually. Look at Liller squaring up underneath, trying to see if he can't do something. Now, this is what caught out Chip Herr, and he's going to be careful this time. He's a lot more correct through that line, didn't run wide. Moser going to think about it here, can't quite get it done. And these three up front dueling is keeping Darren Treacle right in this.
Yeah, he is, and it's still a three-car breakaway. Kind of surprised that Johan wasn't able to pull away any more than he did with the change of position. And again, we were saying that Moser wasn't thrilled with the handling on that car. He had a huge understeer trying to get power down off turn one. That car has not come in yet.
It has not. There you can see Anthony Girazzi. Great start for Anthony, up from 7th into the top 5. Obviously helped by Chip Herr's off. But Johan, you talk about it takes a little while for that Porsche to fire its tires. And, when the pressures and the temps aren't right, you want to be gentle because you can hurt a tire if you don't wait for it to come in, yeah?
Yeah, but Schwartz is a professional. He knows how to manage that and bring it up. Liller, though, is impressing me quite a bit. He is keeping the pressure on as more fuel dumping out of the CRX on that left rear corner, but Liller is going to be able to chug right up alongside as a little incident behind.
Yeah, it's the 155, the 165, I think, of Jose Nazario, and I didn't catch the number of the yellow car there. Looks like both of them might well be able to continue. Maybe one spun and the other just went in avoidance. And I'll tell you what, Moser got dropped there with these two cars up front. He's lost a big chunk of time all the way down that long back straight called Madison Avenue. There he is.
And that's a little further back than he's, that's starting to lose touch, really. I don't know if he's going to be able to put in fast enough laps to pull back in towards this battle for the lead. The SRT-4 from 4th on the grid, putting pressure on Johan Schwartz in the black 944. Real quick on the incident, the other two cars involved were David Fiorelli and John Schmidt in the Mustang and the Accord.
Schmidt and Fiorelli, okay, thank you. And here we go, big look to the outside by Liller, but obviously that's the long way around. Yes, that all-wheel drive helps here, but Johan just gets a better drive as a result. And as we talked about, Johan, the Tire Rack Pole Award winner, that's a pretty prestigious achievement here. And he also got the Hawk Performance. That's the Breakthrough Award as well. And that's the biggest improvement from Tuesday first qualifying to Wednesday second qualifying. And he needed to get it done on Wednesday because he was leaving Wednesday night. We weren't going to see him until this morning. So he got it done when he needed to.
Well, Moser's making a liar out of me. He's already pulled back into this battle for the lead. And you mentioned the SRT-4, actually a front-wheel drive car, so it's got a lot going on.
Yeah,
and a former World Challenge car in addition to the one we saw Chip Herr driving just doesn't have the livery it used to run. So that car's got some pedigree and it's working well. Yeah,
it sure is. And obviously with a front drive car, and especially when you got a turbo, you're asking those front tires to do everything. And with the torque of that turbo, if you're not gentle, it can roof those tires.
Yeah, that car would trend towards understeer unless it's set up well like a race car should be, and Liller seems to have it set really well. He's got the straight line speed. I think he's going to be able to go for the lead down this time.
Yeah, absolutely he does. We've been watching those speeds, and he's way clear of everybody else. Pops to the outside. Now there's some debris on the track. Johan going, well, if I avoid the debris, I lose the lead, but he lost it anyway. And Liller now up front, little wide there into roller coaster, but was able to hang on to it. But you know Johan will be putting that little moment in his back pocket.
Yeah, this is fascinating. We did not expect this at all. As 2 seconds spread the top 2 cars in qualifying. Schwartz, meaning, was 2 seconds faster than the SRT-4 in qualifying, but something about today doesn't have the same sort of speed. And the only thing I can speculate is it is well hotter than it has been all week. Maybe missed on either the setup or the tire pressure, something in the 944, because he should be kind of walking away, and he's not.
Yeah, I mean 76 degrees, so it's relative. But we had days where it was, in the low 60s in the mornings. In particular, have been really chilly here. And Johan right now, as we're watching Liller start to ease away just a little bit, he's got his eyeballs full right now of Joe Moser. Moser dives to the inside at left hook early in the race. He gives Johan a little room, and Johan finally has to give it up here. So. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Johan may, all wondering here, is this car yet going to come alive, or is this what he's got? Because this is an interesting story here.
Yeah, just it's looking to be getting a little bit weaker. Maybe some other issues that we will find out about later in that car. But Darren Treacle's also done a great job to cling on to this top 3. He's in the blue BMW in the background, another former World Challenge car. This class definitely built to accommodate that style, and that's another beautiful blue car, a former pro racing car from James Safronis, GMG car.
Yep, the GMG BMW there, as you can see on the side. I'm wondering for Johan, they had to go replace that transaxle in the driveline, and other than maybe a hardship lap, they haven't been able to run this car since that happened. So, you wonder if he's maybe still dealing with some sort of after effect from that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe just a different differential, maybe an open differential, even the car not handling the way he wants. But he's 3 seconds off the pace that he set in qualifying. He's looking like he's going to be able to cling onto the back of Moser, but Liller is the top performer right now, literally and figuratively. I'm just so blown away by the strength of that car at the beginning of this race.
And just to let everybody know, Chip Herr has worked his way up from last to 7th in that Audi. He is absolutely flying out there. The only guy who's been quicker than Chip has been Mark Liller up front once he got out in this nice clean air and is opening that margin up a little bit. But Chip, again, sets the fastest second sector by a bunch. And he is coming. He's going to need some help because right now he's 10 seconds off the lead. But he is absolutely getting after you. Moser a little wide down in 1. And is that possibly, that front drive car, as you said, they tend to be a little pushy, and just opening that wheel up, letting it have its head is the better way to go. Yeah,
they'll naturally be a little pushier, and certainly an SRT-4 would be a very naturally pushy front-wheel drive car specifically. But I think it's mostly, like you said, just keep the wheel opened up, let the car get its forward acceleration as much as possible, as little scrub as possible, and try to keep the load off the front tire, but also just get that powerful car pointed in the right direction.
And that's the key, isn't it? Eliminate the scrub in a front drive car because it can hurt the tires, and you just got to be absolutely on top of that. And look at Darren Treacle has sort of lit the fuse here a little bit. Set a personal best on that last lap in that beautiful blue BMW of a 2-minute 3.7, and he is glued to the back of Johan Schwartz. The margin from Moser to Schwartz right now is just about a second. Liller up the road by a 1.5 seconds at this stage. And there you can see that's your top 4. Then a bit of a gap now of some, 5 seconds back to Anthony Girazzi in the Lotus Exige.
Yeah, who was also missed at least one day of qualifying, came in from a different race, took a day off, skipped a qualifying day, and then came a day late in that car. So he's got a little bit less time on it this week than everybody else. But the car we'd expect to have the best long run of the top 2, the better long run, I should say, is the CRX. It's going to be a much lighter car. Even though Joe said he's not super happy with the handling, we would expect that car to be a little bit easier on its tires and keep it together longer. So Liller is going to have to accommodate that disadvantage that he has by driving around the weaknesses that the more powerful and heavier car would tend to have.
Yeah, and then you talked about the potential heat issues in that turbo and how that can, you gently just lose a little bit of power here. It's not like it's a 90-degree day, but as you said, a lot warmer than we've had here previously. And Treacle getting a run, thinking about a move on Johan Schwartz, just not quite close enough for that final podium spot here. And for Johan, yeah, this is just a huge surprise, because now he's behind Moser to the tune of about 2.5 seconds, Tom.
Yeah, these two cars on camera lapping about a second slower than the cars ahead. Treacle looks to the inside. He's going to be a little better on the brakes, but thinks the better of it.
Ooh, was that Johan locking up, or did they touch? You saw that little puff of smoke. I think it was just Johan locking up there as he was unloaded on that left front, turning in really hard.
I don't know about you, but I heard a lot of misfiring out of what sounded like a Porsche straight six just there. So I think that car has some just straight up engine issues. It sounds like it's missing pretty badly.
Let's see if we can hear anything. I think we'll hear it clearly up in Oak Tree.
There,
yeah.
Just there, you hear a little bit of a stumble. Maybe once he gets it back to full throttle, it clears itself out, but it sounded like through power down or at lower RPMs. Yeah, that Porsche just doesn't sound healthy.
No.
Johan doing his best with what he's got. Still has a bronze medal right here, but he's definitely at a disadvantage to the BMW just behind.
Yeah, you can hear that little burble, and the problem is you're trying to get that run out of Oak Tree, and when it takes a little bit for that burble to clear, you're just slow out of that turn and all the way down that straight. As Mark Liller continuing, really impressively, the consistency that he's running. He did uncork a 202 earlier, but he's just been lapping comfortably in the low 203s. Moser's matching him, but not able to do anything with it. Then Johan about 1.5 seconds off of their pace. And once again, now Chip Herr up into the 6th spot as he continues to run a couple seconds a lap faster than everybody in front of him here. So the run for the gold in STU has taken on some interesting developments here. It's Liller, the Neon, over Moser, the CRX, and Schwartz, the Porsche, here at VIR.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
A car like this shouldn't exist. Something this big, this luxurious, shouldn't move like a Mazda. And yet, it does.
Oh my God, it sounds epic as well. This car is an SUV with bragging rights.
The 3-row Mazda CX-90.
A huge thanks to all of those wonderful partners that make it possible to have a race and an event at this level here. And, of course, our broadcast presented by Mazda. Tom, while we were in the break, though, you were doing some quick math, and you think Chip Herr has a shot to maybe get to 3rd yet in this one.
Yeah, the fastest car on track is indeed the Audi of Chip Herr, running in 6th, and he's not faster enough than the leaders to get to them, but he is faster enough than Johan Schwartz, Treacle, and Gerasi to get back towards the podium if he can repeat that lap time and they repeat their lap times, if that made sense.
It does. It does. A look there at that beautiful Nissan Z of Michael Schlechte. That is the car that won the Sunoco the 260 award, and it's a promotion to help promote that fuel, and it really is kind of fun. On Tuesday qualifying, after the dot in your time, the closest to 260 gets the award and a bunch of great fuel, and Schlechte put together a pretty good one there and ended up at a 269, so only 9 thousandths off of nailing it. I wonder if you got a little bonus for being closest that we've seen so far this weekend. But Johan Schwartz continuing here to struggle just a little bit, isn't he?
Yeah, we're speculating an engine issue in that car. You can hear it breaking up just under my voice there a little little bit. And Moser is the car that has responded the quickest so far. We've talked about how that car should survive the long run a little bit better. This is the battle for the lead. Mark Liller in the silver SRT-4 leading. Joe Moser in the B20 power swapped CRX has started to gain into the lead by quite a bit this last 2 laps.
Well, you talked about it, Tomo, that car lightweight for Moser, easy on tires, and Liller driving beautifully, but that's a heavy car with a lot of power. And he had a little bobble, it looked like, coming out of Oak Tree.
That's the first sign I've seen that the front tire is starting to go away on the SRT-4 just a little bit, as he was in a bit of an understeer, couldn't get to power, and you could see Moser just almost got into the back of him, expecting to carry more momentum than he could, as these guys going around Whit Greg, triple dipping into Spec Miata STL and STU with the same car just for fun.
Yeah, he's a busy gent. There's no question about that. Chip Herr, by the way, on that charge back, now up into 5th. And he's 14 seconds off the lead, but more importantly, he's, 8 seconds off of Treacle in that battle with Johan Schwartz for that podium spot. But we are now watching Joe Moser, as he's had a pretty good runoffs already, and is looking to back that up here. And as you said, closing in a straight line, you're always going to see Liller ease away. But once they get to those twisty bits, that is when Moser now, and look at this, under braking, he is just eating them up.
Yeah, in case you missed it, put it on your to-do list to go back and watch the STL race. It was a fabulous battle between Joe Moser in a similar-looking but different CRX and Danny Stain. So after this race day is done, you can put that one on the watch list. But Moser wants to make a 2 for 2 with his 2 entries.
And just for fun, check out Spec Miata, where we had the first ever dead heated co-champions in SCCA Runoffs history. So some great stuff has unfolded here. And look at this, Moser now all over the back of Miller. That light, agile, CRX SI is right there. And Treacle has been absolutely relentless on the tail of Johan Schwartz. Now watch, there's Chip. And look at him slinging that Audi around. He is a man on a mission.
Yeah, that thing has a dirt track setup on it, like you like to talk about, or a nice racing setup. It's still sideways. Think back, he had the car pretty loose and lost the back end of it on the beginning of this race, and he's going to be tired of driving through the field at the runoffs. He did it at the back to the front last year. He did it again this year.
Oh, and overshoot Liller just pushed wide, and that was that. Moser's through. Now, can Liller, that's a big gap now for him to have to spool that turbo up and be able to get through. Boy, you can hear Johan's car missing worse and worse now, and Treacle might just be able to get by him here as they go up. They're going to be alongside, but no, Liller could not get to Moser, and now Moser has an opportunity to open that gap up.
I think if Moser can lead into turn 1 or out of turn 1, more importantly, he'll be okay. He's much faster in sector 1, but he's going to have the problem of Liller trying to outpower him and outbrake him down into turn 1.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key. Boy, that miss is getting worse and worse for Johan, just hanging on right now. And there comes Chip. He is absolutely flying right now. You can see him as he winds down that hill, as these two, Schwartz and Treacle, onto the front straight. Up front, I can't tell if Moser was able to hang on to that lead. The margin was 0.6, and Moser did hang on to it. So that's how close it is. Here we go. Is Treacle going to be able to get to Schwartz under braking down here? He's going to go straight to the apex. But Johan, even with the miss, roll speed through a corner, Johan's awfully good at mid-corner roll speed here. But then he goes to the hammer to try and get out of there. That engine lays down on him, and Treacle is through to 3rd.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he stood a chance. He put up a really, really good fight. But it's going to be Treacle to the 3rd spot, that bronze medal position. Chip Herr is coming quick. There he is, just in the back of the frame. Look at this thing pivot through the apex of 4. See if he gets the back end out through 5 and 5B into 6. This is where we saw him flick it last time.
Pounding the curb, just bounding over it, using every ounce of grip that all-wheel drive is going to offer up here. And here we go, Moser. I'll tell you what, we know Liller's tires have gone off. It's pretty obvious, and yet he's doing pretty decent sticking with Joe.
I can't believe how close he was to Joe.
Yeah.
I wonder if the lapped S2000 had something to do with that.
Back.
Moser, huge slide, big front-wheel drive drift, catches it, but that's going to put Liller within striking distance. Whoa. think Moser still didn't know where center was on the steering wheel just yet. Then he figures it out, gets her going. But look at this SRT-4 power coming back.
Well, that shows you how hard Joe was driving because he knew he needed to roll exit speed here and then got it wrong like that, and Liller goes by. So Moser is going to have to do this all over again, as we will be completing 2/3 distance when these guys come by start finish the next time. And right now, Chip Herr is, well, we're going to wait here because he is really, really close at this stage to Johan Schwartz after Treacle went through. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But down to the bottom, Liller running a little wide. That pounded that curb a little bit. Moser actually got a nice run here. And he's not going to have the speed to be able to stay there. But do you think is he close enough to do a deep brake move down into one?
I don't think so. It's going to just exponentially expand. This gap is going to get bigger all the way to the brake zone. Very similar braking point. He's going to get up under the bumper, but not fully. And now here comes Chip Herr on Johan.
All right, wasn't quite close enough. Johan is going to lead into one in that 4th spot, but Chip Herr is there. It is inevitable, yeah.
Just a flat slide through the entire apex for Herr. He had just set his personal best lap time, almost 2 laps in a row, but a big, big slide again for that Audi.
Oh, you can just hear Johan every time. You can look at Chip. Decisive, locking that right front up. Nonetheless, gets it slowed down enough and is gone. And now his deficit up into Treacle is about 3 seconds. And Chip has been really flogging some laps out there. So,
and with this battle at the top,
yeah.
They've closed in. 3rd and 4th have closed in over 3 seconds towards Mark Liller and Joe Moser.
Look at that, just a decisive attack move by Chip. And that bit of lockup, you always worry about a flat spot, but it was pretty unloaded. So I would think maybe it didn't get too bad. And from that off, he's doing this all with a little bit of damage to that splitter too.
Yeah, Don't forget this car was in a tire wall less than 25 minutes ago.
Exactly.
So you see a little bit of damage. That's all fresh from this race. He's on a mission from the Blues Brothers. He's on a mission from God right now to get to the top of this.
He is gassing it right now, and looking to see what Chip's top speed is down that back straight right now. And here's the moment for Chip that caused that little bit of damage.
Kind of surprised he didn't just go full throttle and pull it out with the all-wheel drive. Obviously, not pull it out of the spin,
right?
But pull it out of the full grass ride. Yeah,
absolutely. Chip Herr, 138 miles an hour. Schwartz at 109. And then Treacle's at 134.5. So Chip's got some straight line there too, but just the way he's flogging this around. Let's see what the margin is officially here as they all come through. Well, and there you can see visually just how close it is, and it is 3 seconds to Treacle.
Liller finding a couple of tenths on Moser that time through. He was faster in the SRT-4, so he's back in the lead by the mistake from Moser, but he's really got the pace for it. He's not there by accident.
And, in a front drive car where you've got the tires going off, especially one that's really torquey, is there sort of a drive around? Can you approach a turn a little bit differently to get you squared up and out quicker?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of soften up your hands a little bit. You just try to get it. Again, it's all about forward acceleration. If you can accommodate the front end by doing as little as possible, and you can see the back end just pivoting around the front of the car as that shot coming straight at us. The thing is basically steering itself. The less steering angle you can use, and the more you can kind of get that weight to put the back end around with momentum, the better off you're going to be.
Oh, and again, Moser looking really wide there. I think he was just trying to diamond the corner to get a little bit better run off. But the thing that's impressing me, I would think Liller through those uphill S's, that's pretty much flat chat, in these cars. But through turn 10, through South Bend, I really would have thought that's where Moser would eat up a lot of ground on him with those tires going off. And Liller didn't give up a tenth even.
No, he was showing signs of weakness with those tires a little bit earlier, but he's fixed it. He's completely figured out how to drive that car with the way they are in condition right now. And again, we've talked to Moser a couple times through the week. He wasn't happy with the handling on this car. He said it's pushy all the time, but right here in hog pen, it goes loose if he's not in the power enough. It does basically between gears and third and fourth. He's either got to downshift and pull it out of the slide, or risk a giant slide out of the power band in fourth. So it's just he knows he's not super thrilled with the car. It's just run out of time on what to do with it. He's got to race it now.
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? At a certain point, it's all right, here's what I got. Let's see what I can do with it here. And he sure is doing a absolutely great job right now. But I'll tell you, just seeing more of those black streaks coming off of that, the front tires of that Neon. And you know, once those tires start to go, if you don't have a big enough lead where you can back it off just a little bit, they just continue to lose efficiency.
Yeah, this is where Moser has his problem. He's faster in this section of the track, but he has nowhere to go with it, and it's really difficult to make any passes in this first sector once you've cleared turn one. He's right up on the bumper, and then that horsepower kicks in. I was going to say also, Liller, you notice he's using less track. He's getting the car pointed straight earlier, and he's relying on the power with less effort through those front tires than Moser is, because he can't.
And meanwhile, Chip Herr, as he closes on Darren Treacle, just a tick under a second and a half off, so he was about 3 off in a couple of laps back. So Chip is coming. His last lap was, a second and a half, so that's absolutely right, faster than Darren Treacle. And so that battle is going to be a pretty intriguing one here. Here's Darren, and he is really driving beautifully. Darren is, and he's, you've got a guy who is an absolute front runner in World Challenge Touring Car a number of years ago. And every once in a while, he would climb behind the wheel of Tom Oates' big, absolutely tiger stripe, thundering Corvette in GT, and was a front runner in that as well. So Chip, he's for real for sure, and Trickle doing a beautiful job here. And I'll tell you, for Moser, he's got speed. Now this is an opportunity, maybe, if Liller runs up and gets trapped a little bit behind Schlechter as they come out, but Schlechter's going to lead, have enough of a margin here that he's not really shouldn't back up Miller a little bit, but boy, Moser that time did get a great run out of hog pen.
Yeah, and this is a perfect spot to get by lap traffic. I believe, I'm speculating, but I believe Moser lost time in lap traffic, so I'm sure he's wishing that upon Liller as well, but that wasn't his chance. Back to Treacle, who's got all the pressure in the world on him right now. 8 starts at the runoffs, never a podium. He's going to want to fight for this one tooth and nail.
You bet he is, and he's certainly, wherever he ends up, he has been putting on an absolutely superb drive here. But right now, that last lap by Chip, about 9/10 quicker than Darren. But, there's the old adage, isn't it? Catching him's one thing. But if Treacle drives really, really good lines, he might be able to defend here. And Moser in full attack mode now as we have 2 laps to go.
Well, to reference STL again, Moser led the second half of that race with pressure from Danny Stain in a way that he had to be perfect, literally perfect. Now the tables have turned. Mark Liller has to be perfect, or Joe Moser is going to easily go by. And it's only got call it a lap and a half left of perfection needed to take this championship.
And Liller a little bit wide here in that final right-hander coming through the climbing S's. So Moser a little bit closer than he has been now. Chip Herr, and Liller goes off, and I don't know if there was a little bit of contact or whether Liller just lost it coming in, and Moser had to go wide to avoid. But huge change here as now Moser into the lead, Liller off the track. That is going to promote Treacle into second, and Chip Herr, who's got a lot of speed in that Audi, as Treacle tries to defend, and Chip all-wheel drive. He said, if I got to put a couple in the grass, I'll do it. And he's going to come by now. And so Moser, Herr, and Treacle, after what had been an absolutely superlative drive by Mark Liller.
Whoa, another big slide for Herr, and there was a thought in the back of my head about 5 laps ago that there's an alternate reality that Chip Herr can still win this race, and now it's reality. He's right on the lead for Joe Moser. Darren Treacle is still putting the pressure on as well. This is incredible.
It's unbelievable, and what it really comes down to now is Herr had to have absolutely, completely abused those tires in this charge. He's got good straight line speed, but Moser has a car that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more agile, and probably has better tire. And Chip trying to get down underneath. He's got overlap, and he's through. Chip Herr, what a story, from second to dead last to the lead here as we start our final lap in the run for the gold in STU. incredible story here.
I'm almost speechless.
I am.
That is so cool. That car was literally in a tire wall 29 and a half minutes ago, and he's back in the lead. I'm looking for damage on the front of Joe Moser's car, just in the off chance that we missed contact with Liller off camera. I don't see any.
I didn't either.
But I mean, it would have been the smallest kiss. Maybe he went up the inside. I don't want to speculate that they did hit, but there would be a weird place for a front wheel drive car to spin.
Oh! And I think Treacle may have tapped the back of Moser there.
Absolutely did.
Yeah, and so now Moser sent sideways. Treacle damage to the front of that car. Moser is dead stick. And did Liller not be able to get that car turned around and going? Right now, Moser, now he's finally got it started. So technically, if he gets this going, Moser would still be second in this absolutely topsy-turvy. Wow, what a race with machinations galore as he gathers it up. Meanwhile, Chip Herr has got to be looking in his mirror, and I'm sure his crew has just said, you got now, believe it or not, a massive lead here. Take it easy. You've got this one. Unbelievable what we're seeing here. And Chip Herr doing what he does in this Audi. He has pulled off some absolutely spectacular stuff in World Challenge over the years. And this one, what a story out of Hog Pen, the final time. And as I said, second to last to the win, and a gold medal with damage at the front of that car, damage at the back for Chip Herr, and earning his first gold medal. What a story as this unfolds here. Here's Moser, and I just saw Liller going by. So Liller could still end up second in this one.
Yeah, and it looks like Moser's just going to limp it back. I don't know if he's done or the car's done, whatever. He's just getting back to the start-finish line. An unbelievable performance for this car and this driver. The number 19, Mark Liller, blew me away with this race. Led almost all of it until an off at Oak Tree 2 laps ago. Will still come home a silver medalist.
Yeah, and I mean, up from the 5th starting spot, and he was 3rd in 2017 at Indy, so this is his best finish. Moser doesn't even complete it. He just moves into the pits. So I don't know. Can you take the checkered flag in pit lane? This is going to be interesting here.
I assume you can, but if you can't, that should put Jose Osiris Pena up into 3rd, a driver we almost never saw on camera, but it's the number 199 first generation Toyota GT86. There he is in the background, the black and yellow. I don't know if he's even racing Moser to the line. This is a little bit of a mystery, but this is potentially, he beat him to the line. That's your 3rd place finisher.
What? This race has got everything in it here, including Pena ending up on the podium after Moser just pulled into the pits. And wow, Darren Treacle, he's still stopped, I think. And I'm with you for Liller because when we saw that front of the car starting to go off, he did something to make an adjustment, and that speed just came right back to him. Just a superb job. David Fiorelli is going to end up in 4th. What a story. And James Slechta could well end up in the top 5 here after starting in the 11th spot. Wow. What a race, Tomo.
Yeah, there are a number of cars that dropped out that we may have missed at certain points. So John Schmidt, maybe a timing and scoring issue, but Jorge Nazario looks to have dropped out of the race. Johan Schwartz called it quits at 10 laps. Anthony Gerasi also pulled off at 12 laps. So a bunch of cars were raised up through the ranks, including James Slechta, who should end up in the top 5 once they cross start-finish. Chip Herr taking a very well-deserved cool-down lap after it's got to be one of the drives of his life, right?
I think so. This was just spectacular. And for James Slechta, he might well be the guy who gets the Sunoco Hard Charger Award because he started back in the 11th spot. Yes, he got help from attrition, but the thing of it is, to get any kind of award, you got to finish. And he did exactly that and just kept it going here. So, wow, what a story. Now, the question would be, if he's down a lap, maybe Moser, as a result, having a lap up, might still get that 5th spot. We'll let that all suss out here as Chip Herr makes that slight right-hand bend into pit lane. And I think he is going to be as stunned and overwhelmed as anybody here, including us, with what he just did. Unbelievable drive, Tom.
Unbelievable. And 2 years coming, because he came from the back of the pack last year in a borrowed car, not even prepped for this category in the rain, and again was basically prepared to pass for the lead when the full course came out, ended up ending that race. I don't know if Hayward could catch all of what just happened in that 30-minute time window, but Herr knows, and he is stoked.
Well, I just did some quick math, and over the last 2 years, Chip passed 32 cars then.
Yeah.
And that is, look at Chip. And as you said, Tomo, in the barriers, gets it out, damage to the front, the splitter, damage a little bit to the back. Don't think that affected things much. And then just put the drive of his life in and ends up national champion for the diminutive Rocket. Wow. And watch when he takes his helmet off, because, like I said, I announced him in World Challenge, 15, 20 years ago? He takes his helmet off. He doesn't look a day different. Really annoys me. So he is, the energy down there's got to be unbelievable. Hayward, we're just going to listen in with you. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I've not seen much like it. Chip's pretty much good at everything except for turn 2 on the first lap and taking off his helmet. So just asked, is this for real? It's starting to set in a little bit. We've come out of celebration and in disbelief. A lot of hugs. We're not sure if we're going to get a chance to talk to him, if I'm honest with you.
Well, remind him that by my math, he went by 32 cars in the last 2 years to do this.
So Greg Kramer's telling me in the last 2 years, you've passed 32 cars in the STU race.
Yeah, but I only run like 14 laps total until today. Oh, my God.
What did you feel? What were you thinking when you got into that tire wall? Did you think you were done?
I did, but I picked Hoosier R7s. I knew this was going to be hot. I knew the car was going to be a little sketchy to start. I got a great inside line. I could put the power down, but I was sliding. My mistake, I don't think anybody hit me. I just didn't have the bite out of the corner, and it's on me. I had nothing to lose. I've said this before. I put my head down and literally just kept clocking laps and just saying, what's my gap? So
Two laps to go. You're coming up the hill S's. You can see Moser. You can see them, and you see them go off into Oak Tree. What did you think?
Game on, baby. Oh, my God. I didn't know what color it was going to be. But, oh, my gosh. The Carbotech brakes were literally perfect with the way I was pounding on them. I freaking hit a tire wall, and the car is a tank. It's the same car I won my first touring car race in Mid-Ohio. So special to me, and I hope my daughters one day can drive these cars. And oh my God, I'm just like, I'm that guy. I'm Jared Odrick. I'm Danny Riches and my boys and Rich Ronan. God, they were all in my ear. I haven't got the VK underwear on for. Oh my gosh. Oh, we did it. We did it.
I'm just gonna let him talk. This is too good.
I'm good. I'm taking too much time. Oh my God.
I
was. Congratulations here from Jose. Jose, you finished third. Did you have any idea you were in the contention for the podium of this race?
At the last lap, I did. My guy told me on the radio, "Come on, hit it up." They crash or whatever. I didn't know. I have ABS problems since the beginning of the race, and the car when the ABS connect, the brakes is all over the place. So I keep it up. I keep the pace inside, and look, I'm in the podium again. So,
2 podiums here at the Runoffs. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the.
All right, guys, we're gonna get Chip on this victory lap, and we'll come back for second.
All right, what a story. And that's the first time, and I've done an awful lot of runoffs, I've heard the winner say thank you to the people that make his underwear.
Yeah.
That's some serious emotion unfolding
And
right
I bet
there.
the last. And I bet the last.
Yeah,
If I'm
exactly.
honest.
Well, man, I mean, again, here's a guy who's won pro races, has had a lot of success, and look at the emotion from winning the gold at SCCA's runoffs. This has just been extraordinary. Let's get right back down to Hayward.
Mark, it was a elbows out race most of the way for you. Our cameras actually missed what happened in Oak Tree with a couple of laps to go. Can you tell us from your perspective what happened?
Well, I was driving my normal line, got hit by Moser. I don't know what to tell you. Thought it was going to be nice and clean. We were running nice and tight, no contact the whole time, and then that. So, I mean, I was leading for most of the race. He got around me a little bit when I made an error up in Oak Tree, but I guess that's how it ends up.
Well, obviously a frustrating finish for you, but a great race, a great performance. Congratulations on the silver.
Yeah, appreciate it. I want to thank my wife, supporting me, friends and family. Hoosier, they just make the best tires. Carbotech's the best brakes. Chris Childs with Angry Sheep Motorsports. Just happy to be here. Thanks.
Congratulations to you. Guys, before we go away, we're kind of looking at Chip's car here. There's some scuffs on it, but this is a very straight race car, and I was on the start stand for that first lap. It was a big hit. I'm really impressed with Chip and the car.
Yeah, I mean, Audi makes a sturdy car, and you just get on the wheel here. So here we go, some highlights here. And there you see Liller with that absolute rocket start, 3 abreast heading down into turn 1, chasing pole sitter Johan Schwartz. And it didn't take long as Johan apparently started to develop that little burble early. And Moser down to the inside, Liller just sweeping the outside. But Tomo, you can see Chip right there, big rotation, and it was about to get worse.
Yeah, that was his first warning, and he didn't quite heat it enough. He goes off into the tire wall, bounces it, loses an end plate, I noticed, but the rest of the car seemed pretty okay. There it goes, and then this is the battle for the lead. Johan Schwartz floundering with engine issues, only able to complete 10 laps in the end, but Liller goes to the top spot, and eventually Moser will join him up there for a fiery battle. And this is the pass for second on Moser.
And Moser gets through on Schwartz. And, the thing with Liller is as he came under attack initially from Moser, he really overdrove those tires, found a workaround, went back to the front comfortably. We now find out there was a touch there, and suddenly Chip Herr, who had augured his way up into that 4th spot, it becomes 3rd, then it's 2nd when he gets around Treacle, and right here, gets to the inside, accelerates through. Chip Herr from dead last after the off, and then right here, Treacle just way too much entry speed, gets the back of Moser, spins Moser, Treacle brakes.
Yeah, I think something broke on Moser's car. You see how it rapidly decelerated,
Yes.
and then he went for a ride. But it's Chip Herr taking the win in what has just become the most dramatic race of the runoffs, in my opinion, and we had a tie. That says a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, an absolute dead heat, and now this one is even more compelling. That's pretty crazy. And so you think that Moser, something broke for him, and that's why Treacle got into him, not Treacle just overshot.
On second look, I think so.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously that's going to be, very, very, comfortable for Treacle, not thinking that he got into him. But man, Liller, Jose Pena, a surprise podium for him, and just some great stuff unfolding. But for this guy, Chip Herr, in that beautiful Audi A4, as he said, it's the car he won his first touring car race in World Challenge at Mid-Ohio, and a couple of decades later comes back and wins the National Championship in Super Touring Under, and does it from second on the grid into the barriers, last all the way through the field, and grabs the gold medal. It doesn't get any more fascinating, compelling, and downright exciting than this. Hollywood would look at the script and go, yeah, not a shot. That's so unreal. And it happened here, folks, at SCCA, 60th running of the National Championship Runoffs. This has been a mega race. Thank you so much for joining us. For Tom O'Gorman and for Hayward Wagner down in the pits, I'm Greg Creamer. This one has been absolutely incredible, and you saw it here with us, folks. Enjoy this moment. It'll be archived if you want to go back and watch it about, 8-10 times, just to see if what you just saw here really happened. More to come from the runoffs, and we'll be back with it.
My customer experience with Mazda has been absolutely fantastic.
I'm probably not the richest person out here, and they're extremely reasonably priced, and you can buy parts easily, and it's a class that fits both what I want from a racing standpoint and what I can afford.
We got into Mazdas largely just because it's a fantastic platform, and Mazda Motorsports has some of the best support for the grassroots racer in parts and technical advice and everything else, so they make it easy for us to run these cars.